I saw a lot of you asking how to get past just being diamond in the last ranked video, so today I'm going to hook you up with the top 7 tips to get past diamond and beyond. My name is Nate, and welcome to Blizzard Guides. Yeah, so I saw you guys talking about how you are already diamond or above, or that you just wanted to reach diamond, or you had just reached diamond, so I'm going to clue you in on some tips on how to get past that rank of diamond, and my experience climbing to GM and getting around that rank. Full disclosure, I still have not reached top 500, but I've peaked right at almost 4,300 and playing the 4,000 to 4,300 range, so I've done this climb a few times in my day. But without further ado, let's hop into this video. At number 7, we're going to talk about flexing. This is 100% the most underrated thing that you can do to get an easy climb and get super good at your hero and as a player. Flexing is a core component of Overwatch, so if you're not at least willing to flex to heroes within your role, you're not going to climb unless you could dedicate yourself to being absolutely insane at that one hero. You don't have to flex at the hero select screen, but you do have to flex whenever the current situation isn't working out for your team. If you're on Hog and the enemy Widow is ripping your team, if you switch to Diva and Matrix the Widow and dive the Widow, she's not going to be effective and you're pretty much going to carry your team and force a swap from the Widow. If you flex like this, you're only going to need to know the basics of your flexes and focus on doing what you set out to do whenever you decided to swap, rather than having to do absolutely everything that that hero should do, since the matchmaker is unfortunately not the same thing as an unorganized game. So in ranked, flexing like this works on levels that you wouldn't imagine possible. At number 6, capitalizing on mistakes. This is super important no matter what rank you are, but in Masters and GM, and especially Diamond, the easiest way to output a ton of value as a team member is countering enemies and making sure that their mistakes go punished. Let's say that the enemy Winston misses his leap, you're going to immediately have a free kill on that Winston. So if you notice this, you probably want to stop chasing that random enemy and kill the Winston for free, and try and get your team to notice that as well at least. If your team ever calls, "This guy is feeding," then generally that means that that guy has made a mistake. If the enemy Roadhog just used hook and heal before he engaged the fight and now is walking towards your team, that's an opening for you to put pressure on the enemy Roadhog and kill him for practically free. So let's also say that the Tracer has no recall. Well, damage is now more permanent and you can get your team to capitalize on it by just calling Tracer no recall. If you keep an eye out for mistakes and flex a bit more than you normally do, you're going to notice mistakes more and you're going to win more. At number 5, I'm going to teach you how to make huge plays. This is super important, and honestly it could be the difference between a massive play made by a GM player and a thrower at a bronze level. So look, you know how you get those stupid teammates that will watch a highlight from their favorite pro and then try and emulate it and get their head blasted by every enemy in the nearby vicinity? Obviously the pros are pros, but I'm going to tell you that anybody can make those plays, even if their aim isn't super insane. Obviously discounting those plays that are completely based on insane aim. I'm more talking about big flanks or deflecting grab or big charges or stuff like that. These pros think about 2 things. First, like you should already be doing if you're in diamond or above, they consider escape options, how safe they are, and threats. I'm not going to go into that because you should already know how to do that. The second thing though is that they're tracking the enemy's mentality. They're trying to emulate the enemy team's thought process, considering what the enemy team is trying to do, and looking at what abilities they have and mentally track them. You can easily track ultimates and slightly more difficultly track abilities, and you can easily track enemy positioning and guess their mentality, so you want to consider what is going to be most valuable to them that fight, and then think about what's going to counter them most easily, and then set up so that you can counter that thing from the safest spot, or at least have a plan for once things go wrong. This takes practice. If you're tracking the enemy and what they have available to them, once you know what they're going to be using to win that fight, you can use your kit or your team's kit to counter the enemy's effective output. Examples would include walling off a Zenyatta with Trans as Mei so that your team grabs for free. If you're Ryan, blocking the enemies from getting beat dropped from their Lucio with your shield is a possible option. If you know that the Tracer is going to try and stick your Mercy, you can try and bait the Tracer into your Mercy and kill the Tracer or protect your Mercy. You'll notice more and more that you can make bigger and bigger plays the more that you do this. Seriously, all that you have to do is pay attention to what the enemy has at their disposal and then consider what kind of plays you'd try and make if you had those abilities yourself. At number 4, a smaller point, but it's simply just getting an alternate account and practicing constantly on that account, not caring about your rank. not meaning throwing, but once you reach diamond, you're at a good point to get a second account, so get another one and just practice and play more on that account until you've reached a higher rank than your main, and then grind out on your main and climb super quick. It's kind of a cycle of hitting a peak on your main, then grinding out on your ult, reaching that same peak on your ult, then grinding out more on your main and reaching a new peak and repeat. Works for most people that I've seen use it, plus it removes that nervousness about your SR because an alt account at the end of the day can just be a throwaway account. At number 3, learn more about yourself. Your biggest enemy is yourself, and if you're not constantly learning from your mistakes and looking back at how you can improve in a game, you're not going to get any better. I mean, that's pretty obvious. This was in the last video about ranking, so I don't want to exhaust it, but for those that haven't seen it, I have to put this in this video. Every game, every fight, and every interaction is a chance for you to understand your hero and your mentality better, so don't let a lost fight go to waste, and learn what you could have done to prevent that loss from happening. On top of that, learn about your enemy and think about what they're doing to counter your team and try and negate their ability to do that very thing. That's obviously a huge part of ranking up past masters and consistently being GM. It's just 100% being flexible mentally and willing to constantly learn each moment that you get. At number 2, pick a main and get as good as you can on that one hero. This is a very key component of being a GM ranked player. It's having a pool of heroes that you're higher than GM at, and then being flexible to a mid-masters level and above. In the first part of the video, while I did say flexibility is an important thing, I do still think that you have to be able to specialize. I'm at the point where I can play every hero comfortably at mid-masters or higher. The majority I can actually play at a low GM level. My mains, however, I definitely have no problem playing at a top 500 level. However, to reach the higher rank, you don't have to just be complacent at that specific rank. You have to be good enough to be able to carry past that rank. So while I don't have the skills on my mains to climb past GM and into top 500, I do have the skills on my mains to output enough, but not necessarily carry a top 500 game. My flexes, I can play and output enough at a GM level, but I don't have enough skill to play those heroes at a master's level and then carry up to GM. That's kind of the key to the matchmaker. It's being good enough to carry, but also flexible enough to not get countered. And finally, at number 1, don't let yourself get burned out. Burnout is a huge issue in Overwatch, and it gets worse and worse the higher that you're ranked. Remember that unless you're actually extremely serious about going pro, you don't have to play daily or you don't have to treat it like a job. If you're having bad games or you're just not enjoying the game, take a break and then you can come back in a few days and continue playing later. I used to grind out a ton of games and get burned out and then tilt down to a low masters or diamonds level, so I never really climbed because I didn't have the motivation to get better since I spent my time constantly trying to get back to the rank that I usually was. If you're not enjoying the game, play enough to just not decay, but take a break and come back later once you get that spark again. For me, it's just taking a break for 2 to 3 days and then watching some highlight video and then getting interested again. For others, it's other things, but finding that cycle for yourself, and then you're actually going to have the motivation to learn the nuances of Overwatch and climb and get better way quicker. You'll slowly but surely invest more and more time into the game and then just be able to play as much or as little as you want without getting tilted or burned out. But anyway, that's today's video for you. If you think that I missed anything, drop a comment and roast me for what I missed. If you have any video suggestions, you can leave a comment, but I do suggest that you go over to our Discord and drop it there. I'm guaranteed to read your comment on Discord because sometimes you do just get lost in YouTube comments, unfortunately. If you want to check out our Twitter, you can get followed at Blizzard_guides, and if you want to see dank Overwatch memes, you can follow our Instagram at overwatch.guides for some great content. If you want to see more of these videos, get subscribed and notified so that you never miss an upload. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a nice day. My name is Nate, and this was Blizzard Guides.